mentioned that the audio was too quiet, and it was, so I've turned the gain up today, so I'm hoping it's a little bit better, but I don't have a pop filter, and so I'm worried that my S's and my B's are gonna blow out the mic. So please let me know if this is okay, if it needs turning up or turning down. I can't buy a pop filter, but I have no money, so it might take me a little bit of time, but I'm doing my best. We'll get there together. Also, because I don't have a mic stand, I have actually recorded this whole video today previously about 20 minutes ago and had to scrap the whole thing because I was holding the mic, and when I turned the gain up you could hear like this plasticky kind of twang whenever I moved because of my hand holding the mic that you couldn't hear in the last video because the gain was turned so far down. So you are now inside a phone stand with a beanie wrapped around the base of the mic to make it fit in the gap because it was too small otherwise. And the third and final thing, I'm sorry for keeping you guys so long. I record these videos in my office, and for the whole time I've lived in my house, a family of birds has been nesting on the roof above the office. They've been there years, and I love them. I am very attached to the little birds, but they're very vocal and they're very confident and they make a lot of noise. So if you can hear them in the background, I apologize. I'm sorry if it's distracting. I'm aware not everyone is as in love with these little birds as I am, so I really apologize. I can't go and move them, so if it's a problem, I'll have to find a workaround. Anyway, that being said, today's article is the first Five Nights at Freddy's game. I love horror games, but I can't play them because I get really scared and I have no skills whatsoever. So I watch a lot of Let's Plays, I watch a lot of video essays, I read a lot about like the lore around games, and this franchise is so huge and there's so much in it that I thought it would be cool to cover. If you guys don't like this type of thing, would rather me cover other stuff, please let me know. But I am going to be using the fan wiki today and not the fully licensed official Wikipedia page, because the official Wikipedia page is kind of clinical for something with so much lore and so many fans. So I'm gonna go through a couple of elements from the fan wiki. I hope that's okay too. If you guys have any other suggestions, please let me know. I'm happy to listen. And on that note, this is the wiki for the first Five Nights at Freddy's game. Just to give you guys a bit of an idea of how I'm going to structure this, I'm going to go through the gameplay and the summary of the whole game, and then little bits about each night, nights 1 through 7, including custom night. And then I'm going to give a vague summary of the characters in the game, and then I'll go through some trivia. And if you guys want a deeper dive or more detail, please tell me and I'll be happy to do it. Starting with the summary. Five Nights at Freddy's, commonly abbreviated as FNAF and often referred to as Five Nights at Freddy's 1 or FNAF 1, is an independent point and click, sit and survive horror game developed and published by Scott Games LLC, which released on August 8th, 2014 for Windows as the first installment in the Five Nights at Freddy's series. Shortly after, the game was ported to Android on August 24th, 2014, Amazon Fire OS on August 26, 2014, iOS on September 11th, 2014, and Windows Phone on December 2nd, 2014. Scott Games would partner with Click Team LLC in 2018 to deliver HD improved remastered ports to mobile and consoles. The mobile updates would release on July 30th, 2019 for iOS and August 16th, 2019 for Android. The Xbox port would release on November 28th, 2019, and the PlayStation and Nintendo Switch ports on November 29th, 2019. These ports and updates would fix bugs, remove copyrighted material, and add a subtitles and cheats menu. Due to its universal success upon release, the game spawned a media franchise for a series of video games spin-offs, books, as well as a film adaptation, which was released on October 27th, 2023. And this is the descriptive summary. Welcome to your new summer job at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, where kids and parents alike come for entertainment and food as far as the eye can see. The main attraction is Freddy Fazbear, of course, and his two friends. They're animatronic robots programmed to please the crowds. The robots' behavior has become somewhat unpredictable at night, however, and it was much cheaper to hire you as a security guard than to find a repairman. From your small office, you must watch the security cameras carefully. You have a very limited amount of electricity that you're allowed to use per night. Corporate budget cuts, you know. That means that when you run out of power for the night, no more security doors and no more lights. If something isn't right, namely if Freddy Bear or his friends aren't in the proper places, you must find them on the monitors and protect yourself if needed. Can you survive 5 nights at Freddy's? I'll give you guys the overall gameplay summary before we get into each individual night. The player controls Mike Schmidt, the night guard at the fictional Freddy Fazbear's Pizza restaurant. The objective of the game is to survive a whole shift, which lasts from midnight to 6 a.m., which is 8 minutes and 55 seconds in real time, while avoiding the 4 animatronics who roam the restaurant after hours. Mike is forced to spend each night in the security office, which serves as a base of operations. The player has a monitor at their disposal to scroll through the security cameras and see where the animatronics are, although the cameras are grainy and poorly lit, and the camera in the kitchen only provides audio feed. The animatronics each have unique movement patterns, and will attempt to get inside the office through one of 2 hallways on either side of the room. The player can activate hall lights to check if an animatronic is outside and shut either of the 2 doors to keep animatronics out. However, the player has limited power each night, which is displayed via a percentage in the bottom left corner of the screen. Power will drain over time, although using the monitor, lights, and doors will consume more power, and if the player runs out, all of these features will deactivate for the rest of the night. Freddy himself will appear in the office, eventually attacking unless the clock hits 6 a.m. first. If an animatronic does enter the office, it results in them jump scaring the player and taking them to the game over screen before bringing them back to the title screen. The game's main campaign is split into 5 increasingly difficult levels or nights. Finishing Night 5 will complete the story and unlock an extra challenging Night 6, and clearing that will unlock a customizable Night 7 that allows the player to adjust each animatronic's difficulty. Now, I'm gonna read you guys the phone call from Night 1.
Ring, 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 ring. Ring, 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 ring.
Hello? I wanted to record a message for you just to help you get settled in on your first night. I actually worked in that office before you. I'm finishing up my last week now, as a matter of fact, so I know it can be a bit overwhelming, but I'm here to tell you there's nothing to worry about. You'll do fine. So let's just focus on getting you through your first week, okay? Let's see. First, there's an introductory greeting from the company that I'm supposed to read. It's kind of a legal thing, you know. Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, a magical place for kids and grown-ups alike, where fantasy and fun come to life. Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for damage to property or a person. Upon discovering that damage or death has occurred, a missing person report will be filed within 90 days, or as soon as property and premises have been thoroughly cleaned and bleached and the carpets have been replaced, blah blah blah. Now, that might sound bad, I know, but there's really nothing to worry about. The animatronic characters here do get a bit quirky at night, but do I blame them? No. was to sing those stupid songs for 20 years and I never got a bath, I'd probably be a bit irritable at night too. So remember, these characters hold a special place in the hearts of children, and we need to show them a little respect, right? Okay. So just be aware, the characters do tend to wander a bit. If they're left in some kind of free roaming mode at night, something about their servos locking up if they get turned off for too long. They used to be allowed to walk around during the day too, but then there was the bite of 87. Yeah, it's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe, you know? Now, concerning your safety, the only real risk to you as a night watchman here, if any, is the fact that the characters, if they happen to see you after hours, probably won't recognize you as a person. They'll most likely see you as a metal endoskeleton without its costume on. Now, since that's against the rules here at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, they'll probably try to forcefully stuff you inside a Freddy Fazbear suit. Now, that wouldn't be so bad if the suits themselves were filled with crossbeams, wires, and animatronic devices, especially around the facial area. So, you can imagine how having your head forcefully pressed inside one of those could cause a bit of discomfort and death. The only parts of you that would likely see the light of day again would be your eyeballs and teeth when they pop out the front of the mask. Yeah, they don't tell you those things when you sign up, but hey, first day should be a breeze. I'll chat with you tomorrow. Check those cameras and remember to close the doors only if absolutely necessary. Gotta conserve power. Alright, good night. The gameplay for night 1. Compared to the later nights, this night is relatively easy and serves mainly as an introductory stage that accustoms the player to the game's mechanics. Freddy Fazbear will not be active unless the power runs out and will not move at all, although he can sometimes be seen facing the camera on the show stage. The only two animatronics that are notably active are Chica, and Bonnie. However, an extremely inactive player may allow Foxy to attack if not viewing the cameras at all. Golden Freddy can also be summoned on this night, which can be problematic for an unsuspecting player that doesn't know how to get rid of him. This is arguably the best night to summon Golden Freddy, as the other animatronics will rarely attack the player, giving them lots of time to try and make the poster change to Golden Freddy's. And now night 2. This is the phone call at the start of the night.
Ring, 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 ring. Ring, 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 ring.
Hello? Well, if you're hearing this and you made it to day 2, congrats. I won't talk quite as long this time since Freddy and his friends tend to become more active as the week progresses. It might be a good idea to peek at those cameras while I talk, just to make sure everyone's in their proper place, you know? Interestingly enough, Freddy himself doesn't come off stage very often. I heard he becomes a lot more active in the dark, though, so hey, I guess that's one more reason not to run out of power, right? I also want to emphasize the importance of using your door lights. There are blind spots in your camera views, and those blind spots happen to be right outside your doors. So if you can't find something or someone on your cameras, be sure to check the door lights. You might only have a few seconds to react. Not that you would be in any danger, of course. I'm not implying that. Also, check on the curtain in Pirate Cove from time to time. The character in there seems quite unique in that he becomes more active if the cameras remain off for long periods of time. I guess he doesn't like being watched
Ring, 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 ring. Ring, 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 ring.
Hello? Hello? Hey, you're doing great. Most people don't last this long. I mean, you know, they usually move on to other things by now. I'm not implying that they died. That's not what I meant. Anyway, I better not take up too much of your time. Things start getting real tonight. Hey, listen, I had an idea. If you happen to get caught and you want to avoid getting stuffed into a Freddy suit, try playing dead. You know, go limp. There's a chance that maybe they'll think that you're an empty costume instead. Then again, if they think you're an empty costume, they might try to stuff a metal skeleton into you. I wonder how that would work. Yeah, never mind. Scratch that. It's best just to not get caught. Okay, I'll leave you to it. See you on the flip side. Quick summary of the Night 3 gameplay. During this night, the game becomes much more difficult, as hinted by the blurred out sections of the newspaper, along with the animatronics being much more aggressive. On this night, Chica will leave earlier than Bonnie, whereas Bonnie himself won't move until 2 to 3 a.m., much like in the first night. Freddy Fazbear can become active on this night and catch the player if not monitored carefully. This is the phone call from the start of Night 4, which is the last phone call from Ralph in the game. There are some background noises going on in this. I'm just gonna do my best to replicate them. So, here you go.
Ring, 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 ring. Ring, 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 ring.
Hello? Hey, wow, day 4. I knew you could do it. Hey, listen, I may not be around to send a message tomorrow. Bang, bang. It's been a bad night here. Bang, bang, bang. For me. Bang, bang. I'm kind of glad that I recorded my messages for you. When I did. Bang, 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 bang. Hey, do me a favor. Bang, bang. Maybe sometime, you could check inside those suits, in the back room. Bang, bang, bang. I'm just gonna try to hold out till someone checks. Bang, 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 bang. Maybe it won't be so bad. Clatter, 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 bang, bang, bang. I always wondered what was in those empty heads. Creepy mode. Back there. Creepy, you know. Bang, 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 bang. Oh no, big scary scream. Bang, bang, bang. This is supposed to be static. This is the gameplay summary for Night 4. Freddy Fazbear might become more active on this night. This is where the game gets increasingly difficult, as all animatronics are active, and Freddy is very difficult to understand and predict. From this night on, when Bonnie and Chica are in the West Hall and the East Hall corners, their heads will violently twitch, and a robotic mumbling sound can be heard. The same cue heard upon experiencing hallucinations. This is actually beneficial to the player, since they are able to hear the sound from the office itself without having to pull up the monitor, serving as an accurate method of alerting players that either Bonnie and or Chica are close, and that the player should frequently listen for footsteps or to keep checking the hall lights for that particular period of time. Regarding the phone call for Night 5, it is with a heavy heart I report that Ralph is not part of it. Instead, there are notes on what the phone call is, and then a hypothetical transcript for it. I will read you the notes, and then the non-emitted transcript that people think is what the call is saying. The phone call from Night 5 is not actually spoken by Phone Guy. It's more likely one of the animatronics in a deep, garbled, demonic-sounding voice. When the audio clip is played backwards and some post-processing applied, it is rendered into a difficult-to-understand and hard-to-translate garble. While numerous possible fan translations translations exist. A more recent speculation is that the call is in fact an excerpt from the book Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. It has not been yet confirmed, however, and is simply speculated because of the frequent matches in hand-translated phrases that most translators of the call have found. The complete passage is speculated to be in the call as follows. Sir, it is lamentable that mass agricultural development is not speeded by fuller use of your marvelous mechanisms. Would it not be easily possible to employ some of them in quick laboratory experiments to indicate the influence of various types of fertilizers on plant growth? You are right. Countless uses of Bose instruments will be made by future generations. The scientist seldom knows contemporaneous reward. It is enough to possess the joy of creative service. And this is the gameplay summary for Night 5. Upon beginning Night 5, the player will be greeted with a phone call of a deep, distorted voice rather than Ralph, with the call ending in static and an animatronic screeching. Curiously, it seems to cut off a quarter of the way through the screech 3 times. This night can be extremely difficult, even if the player has a considerable level of skill, as all of the animatronics are very active, and Foxy will often drain the power by banging on the left door. This can eventually lead to a power outage, resulting in an inevitable death, courtesy of Freddy Fazbear, if the player is not careful to monitor Foxy's movement. There is no phone call for Night 6, so I will take you through the gameplay and what happens when you complete the game. This is the gameplay summary. With the exception of certain configurations in Custom Night, Night 6 is the most difficult to beat, often nicknamed Nightmare Mode. All animatronics are incredibly active, and the player must be very careful in order to complete this night. Unlike the previous 5 nights, there is no phone call or audio recording at the start of the night. Upon completion, the player will see a slightly modified version of the same screen displayed after completing Night 5, which now says you've earned some overtime as an additional line of text, plus a salary raise of 50 cents. The check is also pink instead of light green and dated 11th of the 13th with the date non-visible. The year non-visible. The player will earn the title of Employee of the Month instead of Valued Employee. On return to the title screen, below the option 6 Night, there is another option entitled Custom Night, allowing the player to set the difficulty of the animatronics AI manually, besides Golden Freddy. Also, upon completing Night 6, players will receive a second star on the menu. Completing the game. Upon completing the 6th night, the player will be greeted with a happy-toned image of a $120.50 paycheck with the background of the animatronic band in a non-disturbing daytime light. While this screen is shown, the Toreador March plays, which is the same jingle, 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 played when Freddy Fazbear is in the kitchen or during the power outage sequence. After being returned to the menu screen, there will be 2 stars under the game's title and another option at the bottom titled Custom Night underneath the 6th night option. For Custom Night, I'm going to go over the mechanics, the completion of the night, and some special input codes. There are way too many variations, character to character, based on the numbers that you input. We would be here for days, so I'm gonna go through the vague overview, and if you guys want it in more detail, let me know and I will cover it for you. The Custom Night is the 7th and final playable night of Five Nights at Freddy's. It allows a player to change the difficulty of the animatronics AI to any number that they wish, ranging from 0 to 20. It is unlocked after beating Night 6. After completing this night, the player will receive a pink termination slip. The mechanics. The player is given the ability to set the difficulty level of each animatronic, excluding Golden Freddy. The player can set the difficulty to any number between 0 and 20. 20 for a total of 21 possible level settings. Setting the AI level for each animatronic higher will increase its difficulty. Completing custom night. Upon completion of the custom night, the player will receive a notice of termination stating that they were fired. They are fired for tampering with animatronics, which is a reference to adjusting the AI levels to be easier or harder, general unprofessionalism, and odor. Special input codes. There are currently 3 special codes that the player can input on the AI difficulty screen. The first code is 0000. Contrary to popular belief, setting all AI difficulty levels to 0 will not completely disable all 4 animatronics, as all animatronics, except Freddy, automatically increase their AI levels later in the night. However, this mode is perfect for finding hidden Easter eggs or noting changes within Freddy Fazbear's Pizza as the night ticks on. Although the player can be caught off guard by Bonnie and Chica in the later hours, this is highly infrequent. Aside from an increased power drain rate, this setting is functionally identical to Night 1. Triggering Golden Freddy remains a possibility, of course. Running out of power will result in Freddy coming to put an end to the player's night, unless the night ends before that occurs. Foxy can activate even when his AI is set to 0, although the likelihood of him attacking is incredibly low. As a result, it would be wise to keep tabs on Pirate Cove, even when playing on this mode. The next mode is 20. Nicknamed 420 mode or Nightmare mode by the community. This is the most difficult setting in the game. All of the animatronics are extremely active and survival is extremely difficult. Scott Cawthorne, the creator of the game, hinted numerous times that this game mode is close to impossible. If the player manages to survive, they will unlock the 3rd and final star on the main menu. Scott expressed shock and congratulations towards Twitch gamer Big Bucks and YouTuber Markiplier when they were able to complete the mode, which he'd previously considered impossible. In fact, until he realized it could be done, there was no reward for beating this mode. Completing Night 7 on this mode will award the player the 3rd and final star on their main menu screen. And the last special code is 1987. As of version 1.13, it is currently impossible to play the custom night with this setting. Entering the code will instantly trigger Golden Freddy's kill screen, which will then close the game. This was added by Scott Cawthorne to cease false rumors about entering 1987 as a reference to the Bite of 87 into the difficulty settings to get an alternate ending. Now I'm gonna give you guys a quick rundown of all the characters, starting with Ralph because I love him. Ralph, better known as Phone Guy, is a supporting character in the Five Nights at Freddy's series and the deuteragonist of Five Nights at Freddy's, as well as its sequel game. He was an employee who worked for the establishment Fazbear Entertainment Inc. It was once disputed among players if Ralph was actually an ally. However, it was later revealed that his tendency to downplay the situation comes from a blind loyalty to Fazbear Entertainment and a deep love of children's entertainment. When he himself began living through the dangerous situations, he recorded a final set of messages with hints for survival so the company would not delete his warnings. Some details about his personality. In the first game, Ralph is somewhat nonchalant, with no official explanation as to why. Throughout the game, he does his best to inform the player that there's nothing to worry about, despite the obvious danger of being caught by the animatronics. It is unknown if he is obligated to lie to the guards, or if he is simply trying to make Mike feel better. He seems to be very hesitant and awkward at times, often stuttering and laughing nervously, implying that he might be worried about the possibility of someone hearing his warnings and advice regarding the animatronics. Of course, it is also likely that he is generally anxious and on edge due to the thought of the imminent danger. Despite makes a point to give the player advice for surviving the first few nights, but also keeps insisting that the restaurant is dedicated to employee safety and that there is nothing to worry about. He's also very friendly and talkative, often sharing his thoughts with the protagonist. Ralph is a major character in 5 of the games and has a cameo in 1 game. I'm now going to give you guys a quick rundown of each of the 4 original animatronics from the first game. Starting with the titular Freddy Fazbear, I'll give you guys his description from the Ultimate Guide first. A light brown bear animatronic with a black bow tie and a top hat, a singer in the animatronic band, and the mascot of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. When his face is enhanced, it reveals a handprint on his right eye and another across his lower jaw. His eyes change color from brown to blue when he appears outside the office door. Freddy Fazbear is an animatronic bear, the main mascot of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and the titular character of the franchise. The leader and singer of the animatronic band on the show stage of his restaurant. Freddy first appeared in Five Nights at Freddy's as the titular antagonist, where he normally becomes active on night 3, but can activate and end the game on as early as night 1 if the player runs out of power. Unlike his bandmates, Freddy seems fully aware of the player's strategy and hides in the shadows to avoid being seen by the security cameras. On to Bonnie the Rabbit with Bonnie's Ultimate Guide description. A bluish-purple animatronic rabbit with a red bow tie plays guitar in the animatronic band. Typically approaches from the left, but it should be noted that Bonnie doesn't seem to abide by the laws of physics. Bonnie the Rabbit is an animatronic rabbit and guitarist of the animatronic band on the show stage of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. He first appeared in Five Nights at Freddy's as a secondary antagonist, where he becomes active as early as on night 1. Now Chica the Chicken and her Ultimate Guide description. A yellow animatronic chicken wears a bib that says "Let's eat." Chica carries a plate with an anthropomorphic pink cupcake that seems to have a life of its own. Chica can be found in the kitchen in various games and generally approaches players from the right. Chica was confirmed. I'm not going to tell you who she's possessed by, in case it's a spoiler for a later video. Chica the Chicken is an animatronic and food-themed backup singer of the animatronic band at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. She first appeared in Five Nights at Freddy's as a secondary antagonist, where she initially becomes active on night 1. Her companion is Mr. Cupcake, whom she carries on a plate in her left hand. And now our last animatronic is Foxy the Pirate, and this is Foxy's Ultimate Guide description. An animatronic pirate fox with an eye patch over his right eye and a hook for his right hand. Foxy is housed on his own stage, Pirate Cove, separate from the other animatronics. The stage notes that Foxy is out of order and his plush suit is damaged in places. He operates differently from the other animatronics, advancing in phases before attacking. Foxy the Pirate is an animatronic fox and discontinued pirate entertainer from Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. His first appearance was in Five Nights at Freddy's as a secondary antagonist, where he resides in Pirate Cove, and becomes fairly active on night 2, although there is a rare chance he will activate on night 1. So, kind of an embarrassing confession, I went years, and I mean years, thinking Foxy was a girl. I don't know why. I have no idea why. I think it's because Foxy means sexy and usually refers to women, but I just thought that she was kind of like an edgy, grungy, like tomboy diva for some reason. But no, Foxy is a dude. Foxy is a pirate dude. And now, to finish us off, some trivia. During the game's development, Scott launched a Kickstarter campaign on June 14th, 2014. Its goal was to raise $10,000, although the campaign ended up being cancelled on June 17th, 2014. It revealed that Freddy Fazbear was originally going to be named Freddy Bear. Pledging the game with the appropriate amount of money would have awarded the backers the following. If you pledged $10 to $14, you would receive a wallpaper pack of 5 desktop wallpapers, which would be delivered in August 2014. If you donated $25 to $49, you would get the game's early release copy alongside the wallpaper pack. Nights at Freddy's. When Scott released the first gameplay video of Five Nights at Freddy's on his channel, the game seemed to be much more pixelated. On the starting screen, the video also showed a graphic of a man with the number 1 text next to it, which shows that at one point in development, the player would have limited lives. Scott's gameplay video of Five Nights at Freddy's was likely created due to users on Steam community asking for more videos on its gameplay. Even though there is no specified year in which the game takes place, many have assumed that it takes place around 1993, as the paycheck at the end of the game lines up with the calendar year and the minimum wage of the time. When the game was first launched, the newspaper article shown in the intro sequence misspelled pizzeria as pizzeria, which was later fixed in patch 1.131. The concept of Five Nights at Freddy's is similar to that of the 2006 comedy film Night at the Museum. In both stories, the attractions act as expected during the day, but come to life during the night, and both protagonists are night guards who work for security at the establishments. However, the aforementioned film included an object that brought everything to life at night, whereas the game's animatronics can roam at night regardless. Five Nights at Freddy's is the first of 2 games in the series to have a 16:9 aspect ratio, with the other being Sister Location. The other games only have 4:3. However, all of the original mobile versions are natively 16:9. This is one of the possible reasons why the offices from the second and third games and the bedroom in the 4th game look stretched in the older mobile versions. As of June 15th, 2017, the aspect ratio for Five Nights at Freddy's 2, Five Nights at Freddy's 3, and Five Nights at Freddy's 4 will all change to 16:9, as Scott most likely wanted the games to share the same aspect ratio. It is entirely possible to pause the game in the PC version by pressing both Ctrl and P. The same method also goes to the other games. There is a cheat code for Five Nights at Freddy's and Five Nights at Freddy's 2, which will automatically skip a night. It can be triggered by holding C, D, and plus. In the second game, it requires Toy Freddy's nose to be clicked on the poster in the office and held on before triggering the code. This isn't possible in the mobile or console versions of the game. In the anniversary images of the office, Freddy can be seen outside the office, but never used. The App Store's subtitle for Five Nights at Freddy's is "You Have the Night Watch." On January 16th, it doesn't list what year, Five Nights at Freddy's won 3 Fear Awards by user choice. On October 23rd, 2024, Five Nights at Freddy's was placed 10th in IGN's The Best 25 Best Horror Games. What? The 25 Best Horror Games Ever Made article written by IGN staff. They said the game reminded them of the feeling they would get from Chuck E. Cheese restaurants as children, stating, "A dimly lit, rat-themed birthday party center with sad pizza, a mostly broken arcade room, and a giant animatronic band that would shut down in between songs to stare into the souls of children with giant, dead-eyed looks." They continued saying what made the game so unique is that the game is one of few horror games that kids can play without enduring a lifetime of trauma, and that it's rare to have a game series that can cater to both young and adult horror fans, but it's mostly because it features a thing we can all agree on: animatronics are terrifying. Five Nights at Freddy's is the first and only game so far to get animated key art, with the icon that was used for the game's Steam Greenlight page taking Freddy's head off, revealing an endoskeleton for a second. Five Nights at Freddy's has 8-minute nights, which are the longest in the franchise's point-and-click survival games. Referring to the 1987 code that we talked about earlier, this trivia talks about it, but also mentions that in the official console and mobile ports of the game, Golden Freddy's jump scare does not crash the game, instead sends players back to the main menu. The Microsoft Store app on Windows operating systems can still open the store link for the Windows Phone port, despite no longer being listed when searched for. And that is the end of today's Wikipedia